Did I ever tell you my favorite color was blue?
Hello folks, Dave Lytle back, and today we're going to be talking about what I would refer to as the little blue meanies, the Asahi Pentax line. There is a particular reason why we're covering this. It's been a while since I've put anything out, and the reason basically is we have a different kind of economy nowadays, and the money is not so free. I'm not buying new stuff, and what I do have is plenty of these vintage binoculars that perhaps you might be interested in. I did consider one thing, and that is that while I have many of these vintage binoculars, there are certain ones that I've picked up more than others, and I do have multiples of, and I can get a general sense of what they will offer from one to the next. And I figured that the Asahi Pentax line was something worth covering. That generally comes with some kind of a goldish amber coating on the oculars. Why it's there, my understanding, for whether it's right or not, is that it kind of acts like built-in sunglasses, cuts down on the UV. I don't like the blue. It puts up kind of a blue tint to everything. It's not natural. But I gotta tell you, I have no problem selling these because people, for some reason, actually think it's pretty. And they actually like the view. So I'm not gonna say that you won't like it. They feel good. They look good. I've had practically every one of them apart for cleaning and very often recollimation. I am personally impressed with the build quality. The fit and the finish of the internal parts and the beautiful polish that they put on the prisms has impressed me. The quality of the glass appears by testing to be quite nice. But they do put these odd coatings. I'm hoping that you can see it on the eyepieces here. The reason I would use them is because for a vintage binocular that doesn't have the full multi-coatings that we have today on new binoculars, they give really, really nice, sharp images. Now, the first one I want to cover, and this is actually the first one I pulled in that I absolutely fell in love with, is this little 8x30. It was out of collimation. It was absolutely filthy internally. And even so, I put it to my eyes as soon as I pulled it out of the box and fell in love with it. Very bright, extremely sharp. I asked my son, who I depend on quite a good deal, I gave it to him to look through, and he said the same thing. He said, actually, this is one of the best purchases you've made. And I'd have to agree. For an 8x30, which does not have modern multi-coatings, it gave an incredibly bright, still does, very, very highly defined, sharp image, very pleasing, but very narrow. That's the problem. I still have my astigmatism. If those of you who have seen my other reviews know that that's an ongoing problem for me. I have to wear my glasses. And this thing, it's 7.5 degrees, approximately 60 degrees apparent field of view. And it has a sweet spot of about 60%, which is generally less than I like. But that 60% is really nice, very, very nice. It gives a better picture than even the testing would suggest. Very pleasant. I'm not going to be selling it, by the way. It's almost equal to a modern offering. Natural color, but it's very restrictive with the glasses. I do not enjoy the full field of view, even when I remove the eye cups. There's approximately 15 millimeters of eye relief, and that's with the eye cups removed, to be sure. When you put the eye cups on, it removes about half of that available eye relief. After that, I picked up another pair. Saw it on eBay, and I thought, well, I like that other one so much, perhaps this one will be just as good. Besides, it apparently is one of those marketed by Honeywell. Evidently, Honeywell Corporation, which we generally associate with thermostats for your home or guidance systems for planes and missiles, they, for some reason, thought that it would be a good idea to import these Pentax binoculars under their name sometime in the 60s and I guess up to about the mid-70s. And I know a lot of people work at Honeywell. We have a local plant nearby, and I figured I can make some sales there. They might get a kick out of this. So I picked it up, and unlike the first one I got, this one had the deep amber coatings that I found on earlier models that I'd picked up, and it gave that blue tint to everything. It makes it look dark. It gives the sense or the impression that you're not getting quite the resolution. But it turns out that that's misleading. I did test both of these 8x30s against an 8x32 anti-poral prism marketed, I guess, under the name of Zoin, using ED lenses. It's totally modern design. I'll tell you what I got using the 1951 test target at 60 yards, which is kind of standard for me. The Zoin resolved group -1, element 2. Both of these gave me group -2, element 6. That's 2 steps down from a very, very sharp, very modern design. But what was interesting is that between the two, there was absolutely no difference. The one that had the bluish tint, which led me to believe that it would not be as nice, actually was just as sharp. The next thing we want to cover, 8x40 wide field. This is a 9.5 degree binocular. It has that same amber coating. This one came in at -1, element 1. And actually, I tested that against an Orion UltraView that I have, 8x42, which came in at group -1, element 2. That's simply one step down, and that actually is good. Anytime you've got a vintage binocular that is a mere step down from fully multi-coated waterproof poros of modern build, that's actually good because you can account for that step down simply by the amount of light that's being transmitted through to your eye. And like I said, they do offer a very nice sharp image if you don't mind that bluish tint. Again, the build quality is beautiful. The controls are nice and smooth. If you like a classic design, these are nice binoculars, guys. This is really nice. Actually didn't know at the time, but they actually make a 7x35, which I should have imagined that they would make since it's so common and popular a design. But this one is an 11 degree. 7x35, 11 degrees, and again, it's a Honeywell. I picked it up for the same reason. I thought, well, maybe somebody at Honeywell nearby would enjoy it. And they did. They purchased it, and they were very gracious to loan it right back to me so that I could do this video. This one came in, again, group -1, element 1. And I tested this one against my absolute favorite 7x35, which I use as a standard around here, and that would be the Asahi Pentax Marines. And whether it was just the sun, the shading, whatever, I don't know. But while that one in the past has given me group -1 element 2, yesterday it gave me group -1 element 1. That's where it clearly stood out, which was no different than this one. And while this was apparently darker because of that tinting, nonetheless, I believe that blue tinting, it kind of does the same thing that you often get with that slight, warm, yellowish, brownish tinting that you can get from other vintage binoculars, to where it actually helps define your target, make it stand out. It's not natural color, but I can't argue about the quality of the view. Very, very sharp, very contrasty, and unlike the 8x40, which gave okay depth of focus, this thing gave me depth of focus that was very much similar to many of the classic 7x50s. Very deep, very, very deep depth of focus. Practically didn't even have to adjust the focus at all between 60 and, let's say, 30 yards. It was, everything's in focus. So a nice binocular again. And I've had this one apart, beautifully finished, very well thought out and designed, and I think a general step up from a lot of the Japanese clones that came from the same period. If you were able to get these things for $30, they'd kind of be a steal. But actually, on average, I've been noticing them mostly around $60 to about $120. And I know they can go for more than that, depending on their condition. But at that price, you know, you could be buying a brand new modern binocular, fully multi-coated, waterproof, possibly, depending on the company. You might even get something of a warranty, maybe for 3 years. But if you want a classic design, a vintage binocular that just reeks of quality, I could recommend these if you can get past that blue tint. It just doesn't work for me, but I did want to pass that on, and the reason being, of course, as I mentioned from the beginning, it's that I've had a number of these. The quality has been fairly consistent amongst all of them, which ups the odds that if you pick one up, you'll be getting the same thing. And I hope that this is of any kind of help to anybody out there who's interested in putting together a vintage collection. If it is of any help, please comment. And we'll close with that. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, hold on. Don't leave too quick. I'm sorry. My son edited this thing, and he cut out the important information that you really need to hear about these things. And that is the incredibly short eye relief that they've got. None of them are really suitable for glasses. They give, apart from the 8x30s, which are just simply restrictive, the wide fields, both the 8x40 and the 7x35, give a nice view. But it's sort of like false advertising, because none of them are going to actually let you see the full field of view. And you really needed to hear this, so I'm having him tack on the last bit of this recording. Thank you. 8x40s. What we're dealing with here is not quite so much eye relief. these are not eyeglass friendly binoculars. Basically, we're looking at an eye relief of about 13 millimeters, and that's with me taking off the eye cups, putting it on my bench with a light through the objective, and carefully measuring with calipers where the highest concentration of exiting light, the diameter that it formed. Basically 13 millimeters. What it's supposed to be by factory literature, I don't know, but practically we're looking at about 13 millimeters on these. Not so good, especially when you put the eye cups back on. You really don't have the eye relief for glasses. And what's also interesting is, while at 9.5 degrees, they should be giving you approximately 76 degrees apparent field. I was using the Orion Ultra Views to compare to these, and that particular binocular is 8.2 degrees, offering 65.6 apparent degrees of field of view. And when you take the eye cups off of this, I wasn't able to see more than approximately the same that the Orion gave you. So you do not, even with the eye cups off, I was not able, with the glasses on or off, it made no difference. I still could not achieve over 70 degrees field of view. It wasn't there. If I moved off to the side, you can peer through and you can see the edge of the field. But the design is such that while it's giving you that, ostensibly, you're not able to really make use of it. I certainly can't. Even with the glasses off, pressed up to the eye pieces themselves, by the time I was able to even come close to seeing the edge of the field, I'm getting kidney beaning like crazy. So, in a way, it's kind of a lie. And it didn't change for the 7x35s. Now, for the 7x35s, like I say, they're offering 11 degrees field of view. That translates to 77 apparent degrees field of view. But you're not going to be able to really see that too well. With the eye cups off, I was getting 10 millimeters of eye relief. That's awfully short. Definitely not for eyeglass use. As far as the image, beautiful, brilliant. Like I said before, group -1, element 1, it's the same as with my preferred 7x35s. And they're the best that I've got. But no, none of these are really eyeglass friendly. That's something you're going to have to consider if you want to pick them up. Now, collimation with any of these is going to be easy because they all have the eccentric rings. I had absolutely no trouble getting these things straightened out, and you shouldn't either if you are familiar with working with eccentric rings.